Welcome, everybody, to the RnR Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on an instant reaction show. Montana State is coming off a barn burner over at Davis, 30-28, but we are 11-0 Big Sky champions. I'm here with my buddies, Zach Levere and Ryan Thornburg. We're going to give it to you for a little instant reaction. How you guys doing?
That was the creepiest way you could have ever said buddies.
Oh, yeah? Just wait for it till tomorrow.
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Happy Sunday. We're champions. We're 11-0.
I'm doing all right as well. It feels good to be a champ. And just to let you know, anyone listening right now as we're recording this, and you guys, I'm here alone with my kids. So if I just vanish, I have muted myself and ran off to put out some sort of kid fire. So
Sounds good.
You guys will just have to carry on. And I have no camera, so you won't be able to see me if I leave. I probably won't tell you because it's going to be an emergency when it happens.
Modern
feeling good.
Smokey the Bear.
Feeling good. That's right. That's right. Putting on my Smokey the Bear cap.
Oh, well. It's officially Cat Grizz season, or week, Cat Grizz week, and that's something we'll
sink in.
Yeah,
let's
we'll
brawl,
launch into
baby.
that tomorrow. But man, we got a lot of feels. We talked about this even before we hit record on the Davis game. It was weird when I logged on to ESPN. It said Montana State was playing Davis again. I was like, "What's going on? Women's basketball going on right now. We're playing the Aggies. We are up as well. So go Cats." All right, so what we'll do on this episode, just like our instant reaction episodes, we're going to run down the Big Sky, and then we're going to give you our hot takes on the good, the bad, and the okay. The good, the okay, and the bad, or the Bobby Houck, as Zach likes to call them. So we'll get right into it. Yesterday, we'll go over to Greeley, Colorado. Northern Colorado lost to Northern Arizona, Battle of the Northerns, apparently. Northern Colorado was ahead at one point, 3-0. But then the Lumberjacks had 44 unanswered points.
Is that really worth mentioning?
I thought it was kind of funny. Yeah. So
it's one way to frame it.
So Northern Arizona is looking for a playoff berth. They're 7-4. And the Battling Bears are still 1-10, 1-6 in the Big Sky.
All right. Well, over in Missoula, the Grizzlies struggled a little bit with Portland State. Was it 0-3 at halftime? Brian Ayat was the one. Is it Brian? Man, now am I talking about the old Ayat?
Lily?
I reverted to the 90s. That's funny. Anyway, he got hurt, right? I think Fife was in the doghouse after his little tweet would be my guess. And then Fife came in the second half, and the Grizz were able to score 28 points and come out with the victory over pesky Portland State team.
Yeah, funny. I don't know how I would have handled that, but the fact that the last 6 minutes of the game was untelevised, he had to go to Twitter to watch Coulter live stream from his phone. The last 6 minutes of that game was insane.
Interesting. How'd he do?
Not bad, a little grainy. The fact that they literally were calling in the game, Jay and Marty were calling in the game to their Script Sports studio, and they were just on the phone calling the game. It was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen due to a power outage, but they decided to play it. The big note I took away from that was Fife had a celebration penalty after his first touchdown, and him and Bobby got into it on the sideline. And they seemed to, kind of shake hands, hug, and be over it a couple minutes later. But not all is well in Grizzland. They've got a quarterback issue there, and they're lucky that I was thinking, I'm like, we had Portland State down 35-0 at half, and they need to come in and be competitive against us. They got to figure out some stuff this week real quick.
Or they don't.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'll go with the next game. We had Eastern Washington and Idaho State in an absolute shootout, 77-42 in a classic Eastern Washington Inferno game.
Eastern.
How? What happened here? 49 points at halftime?
Because it's Eastern and it's dumb.
Fair enough. Just when you were trying to give Idaho State some credit. What was our beer bet on Idaho State?
I think you might win it. I think I said top 5 for it was either top 5 or top half of the conference. I don't think they're going to do that, unfortunately.
They're right on the edge of it.
I just brought you some beers, so I feel like that's paid if I didn't.
And then they play Idaho next week, so yeah, they're probably going to finish
5 and
bottom.
7. But
I sent you some Venmo money for those beers.
You did, yeah.
Yeah. All right. It says Eastern scores a touchdown on every possession, sets numerous records in 77 to 42 win. It's crazy, man.
It's crazy setting Eastern Washington records because their offense has always been explosive. So they're setting records at this point. It's crazy.
It is wild.
That's going to be one of the wildest record books out there, offensively, of any football team ever.
It has to be.
Ooh. Sac State goes down to Cal Poly and loses.
That's brutal.
23-26. Stingers way down. Mustangs up.
Cal Poly is now ahead of Sac State in the standings. They're 2-5. Sac is 1-6.
Sac-12 not going too well.
Yeah, Sac-12, yeah.
Andy Thompson going to get fired?
I mean, you can't fire a guy after one season.
He's been there 2 seasons.
Second season now. It's not. That's. I mean, maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I don't think it'd be out of line if he was.
I think two Big Sky coaches get relieved: Andy Thompson and Mickey Mental, Weber State.
Does Barnum keep his job? You think? I mean,
yes.
Portland State's kind of turned it around. I mean, they've won some games, but they've looked at least very competitive in the second half of the season.
I've said this multiple times. Barnum keeps that job until he doesn't want that job anymore.
I think I agree with that.
It's a fair assessment.
Who would want it? Who would want it?
Exactly. And he works with their budget shortfalls. He works within the confines of the program. He stays until he doesn't want to be there anymore.
Yep. All right. We have our favorite team in the Big Sky with Idaho squeaking out a win against Weber State 31-24. I don't know what to think about Idaho anymore.
I mean, Jack Lane's back, so he can't blame the quarterback situation anymore. I mean, at home, 7-point win against Weber is not great.
Idaho fans talked about it too. They were like, well, if we had our quarterback, that would have been a way more competitive game against us than when we drubbed them back in October. I don't think it would have been.
They're looking forward to a rematch in the playoffs is what I've seen.
Good luck.
Yeah, I thought that would have been a blowout in the Keepy Dome, so that shows signs of concern for me for the Vandals. All right. Well, that's the Big Sky all coming together to the Cat Grizz Week Championship Week. But guys, you know what? That championship is sewn up because we are Big Sky Conference champion, 11-0.
Woo!
Let's just celebrate that for a minute. We are the Big Sky champs. Undefeated
smile, Zach.
Big Sky champs.
It's okay to smile over there, buddy.
I'm smiling.
I'm the down
You can't
one.
see me.
I'm the down one of us because I went to bed last night feeling like we lost that game still with how it ended. I went to bed like fuming mad. I was like, I should be happy. I care so much. This should be awesome. And I went to bed I was so upset.
Well, let's not do too big of a deep dive now. That's for Monday. So we'll kind of keep this into our concise format here, but there's a lot to talk about for sure.
Yep.
There's a lot of feels both ways.
I just wanted to let the listeners know that Zach took on the full Eeyore mantra. He took Thorny's place in the text threads last night. Thorny was absent a little bit because he had a prior engagement, but Zach was like, unreal, expletive, you know, and things were
Nobody
just
was
going
responding.
off.
I was by myself watching this game. I was shouting into a void, I felt like, for most of that fourth quarter.
My aunt texted me, she goes, start walking, Ryan. I was like, I already am.
I kind of figured.
It's funny. Like, I probably would have been that way, but I was busy and I was barely keeping track of the game. But if I had been watching that, I'm sure I would have been just as bad.
Well, let's start off with the good, though, because we'll circle back around. I thought the Cats played a dominant about 3.5 quarters worth of ball. And we looked decisively the better team. We had 6 sacks on Miles Hastings. Man, we looked really good for a long stretch of that game. And so to come out feeling iffy is like, it's weird because at one point, like, we should really remember the first three and a half quarters of football and go, dang, the Cats played well. I thought the Cats defense looked really good.
I mean, I agree that I think they were fired up. The Cats came out, made some plays initially, got a few turnovers. They were hitting hard. They were flying around. It looked good, and you know, couldn't sustain it. But I will say, overall, I was impressed with the defense performance for, like you said, 3.5 quarters.
I had thought Land Larson was potentially the best player in the FCS, and I think he's the best player we will see all season, period.
He's a dude.
He's a dude. I mean, what he did against Montana, what he's done against other teams this year, he's a beast. And for most of that game, we kept him bottled up. I thought that was awesome.
All right, guys, in case you need a recap on how we do this, it's the good, the okay, and the bad. So I'm going to need some good points from you guys.
Tommy Mellott, man. I thought Tommy Mellott had a really good game.
Yeah, his
18 to 25, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a good game throwing the ball. Let me specify, there's always 2 facets to Tommy's game. So I think he threw the ball really well. And he had a beautiful throw down the sideline that was well covered and probably could have been caught, but it was exactly where that ball should have been. Yeah. I think it was maybe Ryan King. I'm not sure who was streaking down the sideline there, but it was beautiful. It was like a third down call. I'm not sure I agree with the call, but it was a beautiful throw.
Yeah, he catches that, game over.
For the most part, we played mistake-free football for most of the night, which was massive.
Well, small mistakes here and there, nothing glaring though.
We didn't turn the ball over. We, penalties 4 for 29. Some of them were critical, but we limited our penalties all night. We just played very disciplined football for the most part for a good majority of that game, and that was awesome to see the Cats do in a big time game against a big time opponent.
I thought the way the defense pressured Hastings was something refreshing to see. I know we pride ourselves on bringing 4, and we brought different pressures at certain times. And there were so many times when he was 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20, and we had quite a few stops throughout the game. And I was just waiting for the offense to just one more dagger, and it would have felt good. But tip of the cap to Bobby Daly and crew. And it must have been super hard for them to go back out there at the very end and then all the momentum snatched away and then have to perform again and again. And so I'm not going to dog on them a little too much because of late strikes from Davis, but I'm really impressed with our defense last night.
I mean, Miles Hastings had negative 43 rushing yards. I don't have the stats in front of me in terms of sacks, but I think we must have had 4 or 5 sacks and they were big sacks. Like he was taking like 10-yard losses on those. So I thought the defense was dialed up, and I thought the blitz calls were great.
Anything else, Zach?
Don't think so. Just, man, yeah, that first series coming off, just getting those first 2 sacks, it was like, okay, we're here to go, and it felt like all night they had that, Land Larson. If we could force pressure and he couldn't get the ball to Larson, we would win the game, and that's how I felt for most of the game.
I mean, can't be overlooked too that we were on the road, the number 4 team in the nation, and by the way, Davis looked all of number 4. They were bigger, faster. They looked different than any team we've seen this year.
Yeah.
Like really legit, like contender right there. And Montana State took it to them. And to me, the end of the game feels, give Davis credit for scoring when they did and putting together those drives, but it felt fluky in a way where you're like, man, a lot of things had to go Davis's way. I'm sure we're going to talk about that a ton tomorrow, but I was just really impressed with Davis. And so for Montana State to go on the road, win in a nail biter, I know that's not the way we wanted it to work out, but man, we did it, guys. I mean, 11-0, Big Sky champs, huge game, and now we have the brawl to go kick some ass this week.
Yeah, I mean,
so excited.
I said it in the text, like if this game was in Bozeman, I think MSU wins by a couple scores. And winning this game pretty much ensures we're going to have a lot of home playoff games, and winning next week means we won't go on the road again, period. So just winning this game was huge for keeping that home field advantage, because we are a much better team at home, like most teams, but especially in Bozeman, you don't want to go to Bozeman. Nobody wants to go to Bozeman.
I agree. I'd also, before we get to the okay, I don't think Davis falls in the polls. I think they remain at number 4 based off how USD played against North Dakota this week.
Yeah, they almost lost that game.
So I think Davis will remain at 4. I think they'll remain there for the rest of the season. And, for everybody all the pundits who have talked about we haven't played them, man, we just went on the road to a top 4 team, an actual top 4 team, and, beat the brakes off of them for most of the game.
Another thing I'll mention that just popped in my brain again, Montana State faithful looked like they were filling up that visitor side. Good job, Bobcat
looked like
fans.
A ton of people.
Yeah. And I'm popped over to the Aggie board today. They were so complimentary of the Bobcats. They said the stadium ran out of beer.
That is definitely in the good category. No. Go Bobcat Nation.
The last thing I want to say in the good I think I got here before we move on is that it was really good to see like a prime looking Julius Davis.
Yeah.
He looked kind of like what you saw. Like he's finally getting back into the game shape or whatever, but I was like, there he is. There's Julius Davis.
Stepped up big time.
And we needed him, yeah, because is Humphrey hurt his hamstring, I think?
I don't know.
Somebody said he was holding his hamstring or something looked like a hamstring injury. I don't know what it was.
He looked like he got his leg looked like they got kind of torqued a little bit on a tackle. To me, that's what I was thinking. He ran off, just hobbled. I don't know, hoping it's not something serious.
I mean, that's something to really keep an eye on. That's a big storyline potentially coming out of this game.
Yep.
But anyway, Julius Davis, capable backup, if you will.
All right. Go ahead to the OKs. Give us something, Zach.
OKs was first thing I have here is the kicking game. Boy, it would have been nice to get that kick right before half, but it bounced off the upright. Missed the extra point, which turned out to be a massive extra point as they went for 2 towards the end of the game. But we hit a 44-yard field goal, and I was curious because our kicks going. I think they returned every single one of besides one.
What was going on with that?
Yeah,
I was wondering at some point if it was intentional.
Sea level, I bet. Elevation,
maybe sea level.
Maybe
that's a lot of yards. I mean, he was kicking him to the 5 yard line.
Is that worth 10 yards, 15 yards sea level?
I'm not. I don't know. Talk about it. Heavy air.
Yeah, but he was doing it at Portland State. I mean, he was still kicking him out the back at Portland State, and that's only like 500 feet. So I don't know. That was in my okay. It was a shaky day, but it ended up not mattering, and we looked good. Punting actually was really good.
I will say that talking about the kicking game being okay is better than at any point last year. I would have killed for okay last year. So
the fact that it's upgraded from the bad category this year at all is almost to the good category.
Yes.
The block PAT, that was like NDSU vibes totally on that. I was like, oh. And somebody goes, I hope that doesn't come back to haunt us.
Yeah, very close. Very almost did.
We missed out on 4 points by the slimmest of margins, an inch or two, really, on that 47-yard field goal. And then in that one, so that would have felt completely different if we had that little buffer right there. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. That was tough.
Hey, I gotta say something while we're on the special teams, sort of. Mm-hmm. How can we go through the good category and not talk about Taco Dollar's punt return for a touchdown?
Oh, it was such a lift. Yeah.
It was so exciting. That was great. I loved it. I mean, you got to put that in the good category. I'd be remiss if we didn't say that. So just kicking reminded me. I'm like, oh yeah, Taco Dollar sort of scored a big time touchdown in this game.
Yeah. Are you guys going to roast me if I put Adam Jones in the okay category?
No.
Nope.
I just don't think he can run through contact all that well. Like, he's super explosive, but you get a hand on his leg, he goes down. And there was so many times where he got stuffed, and I'm not saying that's his fault. I don't know. It could be him not hitting the right hole or seeing the seam or something, but
it almost seems more like a vision thing to me.
Yeah.
Not his best performance. He had a long of 13.
Yeah. It also seems like we call plays for our running backs for to put any running back there. And I think that's something we need to work on with Walker is we need to call plays for what specific running back is back there and what are their strengths.
What do you think his strengths are?
I think he's more agile. I think he's better to the outside. He's more of a speed guy. So more of a, sweep action or kind of an option back.
I did see at some point we had a play call. Scotchery Humphrey went like on a sweep or something or a toss. I was like, what are we doing running Humphrey to the outside?
Exactly. It's one of those seasons
like got tackled for like a 0-yard gain or maybe even got lost. I'm like, that's not what Humphrey should be in the game for.
He's a bruiser.
Like, that could be an Adam Jones play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. Kind of calling it to the specific personnel a little bit more could be a positive.
Yep. In the OK, 159 rushing yards. That's it.
Yeah.
When's the last time we had under 200 yards rushing?
See, and I thought in the third quarter we had it going, and then it just got conservative. Yeah. There was no window dressing. There was no fly sweeps, nothing. It was just, it's like ball control. And to me, that fits into maybe kind of the bad category as well as like, I don't know, play calling got really conservative when we were trying to milk that lead.
Yeah.
And
Julius Davis was just running 8 yards of carry on the drive before, and then we like went away from it or something. I didn't love it. I mean, we ended up with 4.7 yards per carry, which a lot of teams would kill for, but that's not a good day in the office for the Cats.
So Davis was averaging 2.3 yards per carry coming into this game, their defense. So, I mean, we doubled that.
Yeah.
That's good, but it's not Montana State running the ball.
Yeah, we only got 34 carries. We threw the ball quite a bit, 25 times. So we threw the ball quite a bit in this game, but we also faced a lot of third and longs.
Yeah.
So that's in the okay category. Our first and second down offense wasn't stellar.
Yeah. Give credit to their defense, especially their guys up front and their linebackers. They were flying up, and I think we were texting about it, and I had texted at that point. I said, they can cover one aspect of our game. They can't cover two. And I think that's what happens when Rohan got so wide open for the throw and how it opened up some things in the passing game. But they committed to stopping our run, and they're one of the few teams that we face that has the dudes to stop our run. So again, we also have to think about that. Is this is a team, first team we've played in a long time that has the personnel to even match up to us.
Yeah, there's some big dudes, and they were hitting hard, man. I actually thought their defense out physical our offense.
Is there a reason why we don't attack the middle of the field with our passing game?
Maybe Tommy's not tall enough,
or just a higher risk for turnovers, and we're risk avoidant in the passing game.
Yeah, seems like it.
That's all I got in the okay.
All right, can I lead off the bad?
Sure.
Hold on. Yeah, you're fine. I was like, do I have anything else to say about the okay? But I think I'm okay.
All right. First off, in my bad, nothing to do with the team. The Scripps Sports cameras last night were terrible. That was one of the worst. Nothing against our broadcasters, but the broadcaster that game was awful. I don't know who was doing it. It wasn't our normal guys. The road games are always sometimes hard to watch, but they missed so many misdirection plays or passes down the field. And they're like, was there a catch? Did it go out of bounds? You just didn't know what was happening. I just thought the broadcast was awful.
That big long play near the end of the game where their receiver, we got called for PI, which everyone is saying was offensive PI. We never got to look at it on TV though, because they couldn't. That the camera never captured the actual catch. You only saw the aftermath. It's like, well, was there offensive PI? Was there defensive PI? We'll never know because there was no camera angle of it.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
So that was for sure in my bad category of I just did my viewing experience yesterday was not great. I'm sure a lot of Bobcat Nation also thinks the same thing.
The entire fourth quarter was bad. The offense, the defense, the play calling, I didn't like any of it.
Yeah. I think we talked about I just in the bad, way too conservative, way too, playing not to lose almost. Like, hope we don't lose this game, I felt. And what was it? Late in the game, we had a 4th and 2 and somewhere around the 40-yard line. And I was like, go for it. They're going to score. I was like, they're going to score in the next possession. They can prove they can score. And I was like, no, punt the ball back to them, punt it. And then they scored 38 seconds later. I was like, we have such a potent offense and we have our bruising backs. And I'm like, if you can't trust our team to run for 2 yards in a critical situation, what are we doing?
Let me flip that to you then. You can't trust our defense to salt away a 30-15 lead with 2 minutes left in the game?
Not after what I had seen towards the end of the game. I was like, I want our strength. I want our strength. Our strength is our offense. Our strength is our run game. I want our strength to finish this game out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if we get stuffed, then they're galvanized and they score 2 plays later anyway. I don't know.
Oh, well,
I'm okay.
I'm okay. They were going to score.
I'm okay with either call on that, but you can't give up a 3-play 90-yard touchdown drive on the ensuing thing. I don't think anybody knew that was going to happen.
Did it feel like to you guys that fourth quarter felt like the South Dakota State game last year?
No.
A little bit towards the end of the South Dakota, where I'm like, well, now here it falls apart.
Yeah. No, Zach, I'm with you. I think you play to win the game right there. You play not to lose. You have the top rushing offense in the nation. You just roll with it. You empower those guys. Hey, guys, this is it. We need 2 yards. The game's over. Go win it for us. And if they don't, they don't. But you roll with the best unit in the nation. One of the best, if not the best units I've ever seen in the Bobcat uniform. Our offensive line being able to get 2 yards. Everybody knows it's going to come no matter what. It would be like Jeff Choate lining Troy Anderson back there running QB power. You know it's coming. Can you stop it? And I think we miss opportunity just to put the nails in the coffin right there. So I'm a big proponent of that. And I was talking on Bobcat Nation today. There's quite a few people who are like, no, we punted away. I could see both sides of the coin. I'm siding with you, Zach.
I think it's aggressive, and I think it's a good mentality, but I don't agree that punting means you're playing not to lose. It means you're just putting your trust somewhere else. You're putting your trust in your defense instead of your offense.
But then at that point, you have to stop them all 4 downs. So it just percentages start.
A 15-point lead with 2 minutes left. You should not be concerned about defense losing the game.
No. And my wife looked at me. She's like, you got, when it was 38, I was getting nervous. She's like, you got like a 3-score lead. And I was like, yeah, but something feels weird right now. And here's what it started feeling weird to me was, and it turned out to be kind of prophetic. Like, watch what happened. We punted 4 times in a row after Davis scampers or just rolls down the field to get that opening touchdown in the second half. We don't score again. 4 punts back to back to back to back. And it just like something just felt very off. It was weird, really weird.
Yep. The one thing that I don't feel weird about is sometimes when things like that happen, they linger game to game. I don't think this will be a game to game issue. I just think it was a weird second half. I think it was odd. I think we were just playing way too conservatively. I have no worries for next week.
It's kind of a situation where it looked like we kind of started patting ourselves on the back a little early, maybe.
Yep.
And because we've gotten lots of teams into this position and they give up. Davis is a championship caliber team. They were not going to give up, and they did not give up, and they almost made us pay for it.
Yep.
Why don't we just keep feeding Davis, man? That guy was chomping at the bit. He was running angry, and we went away from it. It was weird. Really weird.
Well, maybe it's a wake-up call for the playoffs, and hey, now it's Barry team season. Like it's drag teams into deep water and don't let them out season. You know, you can't let we are done with putting the backups in the fourth quarter. It is go out there and beat the brakes off every team for the rest of the way, hopefully to Frisco.
Yeah. Another bad for me was their onside kick, which was the most beautiful onside kick like you could ever have happen. Providence went up to catch it, and it deflects off his hand. He pushes it up, which allows the guy he was supposed to block to get around him and snag it. And
yeah, it looked like I kind of set up in volleyball where you pop it up for the spiker. It's kind of what it looked like. What the hell?
Oh
yeah.
Yep.
Anything else from you guys?
No, let's end this thing on a high note. We won the game.
Yeah. We squeaked out a win.
We did win the game.
It shouldn't have been that close, but it was that close. But hey, Big Sky Champs, next week we have a chance to sew up the 2 seed at the very least.
See, Thorny, you said we squeak out a win. I don't feel like we squeaked out a win. Like we were dominant most of that game. And then this barrage of things that happened that completely went their way. We didn't even talk about the 4th down, or the 77-yard pass play that John Johnson was thrown down, and even Ty Gregorak goes, "Oh, this is coming back. That is offensive pass interference." And then they call it defensive pass interference. And then, like you said, Thorny, we got to learn how to tackle. Yeah, Drew Polidor tries to just bounce him and likes to wrap up, and Rylan Ort goes for the upper instead of the lower part of the body. It was frustrating to say the least, but that pass doesn't get called. And let's say it's offensive pass interference. we put them back into their end zone really, and then they don't score. They're desperate at that point. Weird things happened late in the game.
Yeah, but if Callahan O'Reilly doesn't make the interception, then it's going to overtime probably.
He's still not Callahan. He's still McCade O'Reilly.
Gosh darn it. Well, that's just in my head forever. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, McCade, but it's just not going to come out now. I've done it too many times. It's there forever now.
Yeah. Well, on the positive note, we've more than likely locked up a top 4 seed. We're going to be having hopefully quite a few home playoff games. I'm stoked living in Bozeman. I hope to see you guys for a playoff game, but we're here, man. It's almost playoff season, and going into how last year was to this year, if you win out, they can't rob you of a top 2 seed. It's ours.
Darn right.
All right. Well, it's Cat Grizz week. We'll talk about it more tomorrow.
Yep. Hopefully got some fun episodes lined up, some fun content. It's good times. All right, let's get at it, boys. Go Cats.
ESG, go Cats.
Go Cats.